get the house sold and move on. We had a couple of little hiccups come in the way. Um, I'm not sure that they were bad, but things just happened. And my youngest daughter decided that she wanted to get married. And so, therefore, in the process of finishing the sale, I think we were not quite in escrow yet, um, but we were trying to put a wedding together in the midst of trying to sell this house. So it took us a while to get that together, um, and we kind of set a budget and we set the ball in motion, and she went forward and doing all the things that a young bride would be doing, trying to figure out the cake, the dress, all those things, the location. She married a wonderful guy. I think he has a lot of potential. Um, he works. That's a good thing. Um, so as we were going through this whole process, we 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 put on a wedding basically, and that took a little bit of our time. It might have been a nice distraction um, in some ways because we weren't so concentrating on the house not selling and what could we do to get the house to sell, and we didn't really want to lower our prices and all these different kinds of things. And there's just a lot of things that go on in the housing markets in California where we were. People would be interested in buying the house, but then they'd find out that they would have a car payment every month for the insurance on the house. And that kind of put a lot of people into um, just an uneasy feeling. It's a lot of money to own a house in California. And we lived kind of in one of I mean, we weren't in the city, so we were in the country. Um, but anyway, so we decided that we were going to stay around whether the house sold or didn't sell, and we would uh, see it through the wedding and all of those kinds of things, and we did. Um, and then we ended up um, in the process of selling too. At the very end, we found out that my wife needed to have surgery. Um, when the doctor sits there and tells you, well, you need to have surgery. If you get into another rear end collision, um, you could, you could never walk again. It's like, well, that's something to think about. So we decided that we would go ahead and move forward, and we would postpone the sale or the move of the to Tennessee until after she had surgery, since we had already been established and had recovered at least to a certain point. Because recovery on that kind of surgery, it takes a year. Uh, we had no desire to wait a year. But in the process of that, we did sell the house at that point. And fortunately, one of my wife's co-workers, really wonderful lady, and her husband's a real nice guy. They just happened to have a granny flat on their property, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit. We negotiated some stuff out, and we ended up moving from where we were to about an hour away. Um, but it was still only a half an hour to my wife's office either way. So it worked out pretty good. It was a little tough because I had kind of closed down my business. I was doing a few things for my standard customers, um, but you know, it was kind of a difficult time in that aspect. But that did create some other stuff. So since we were moving, and we really didn't know where we were going to move to temporarily until kind of the last minute, because our house was closing and we were trying to figure out, okay, so what are we doing with our stuff? At that point, I hadn't decided on how we were, what moving company. Where we looked at Pack Rat, we looked at Pods, we looked at renting a truck. There's a few other those kinds of moving companies out there, and we kind of looked into those. But we hadn't made any big decisions as far as how to move our stuff here. So once we kind of got to that position, it was okay, we have to put everything in storage. So we ended up getting I believe it was a 10 by 20 storage unit, and we packed that thing to the top. And we were able to move some stuff down to our little rental that we were going to be staying in for the next few months. And that's kind of where we sat for, I want to say it was 6 months. My wife had surgery, and that was a feat unto itself. If you've ever had back surgery or neck surgery, you know that it's a very painful process. The recovery is a little bit prolonged. It's more difficult. So we managed to make it through, though. And then it kind of came down to, okay, the doctor kind of wanted to see her at whatever, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year, or something like that. And I sat there and I'm thinking, do not want to sit here for the next several months. So we talked to him. I says, well, what if we got you through, like the first 3 months of recovery? Because usually that's the hardest part, most of the time. And then we told him of our plans to move, and that the wheels had already been spinning on that. And we kind of went back and forth with him a little bit, and decided that, okay, at 3 months, if there's no complications, that we would move, and that she would try and do her follow-up visits here. And then they would just send stuff back to the surgeon to kind of look at, to make sure everything was healing properly. So anyways, we said okay, and the wheels started moving again. So at that point, it was down to, okay, we needed to pick a time, because of my wife's job. We needed to pick a time so that she would have the time off to do the move. So we picked a date, and I'm trying to think of when it was. I think it was the very end of April. We had already bought this house at this point. So at the end of April, we decided to go ahead and pick a date, and we would move. And I went through the various companies. I called Pack Rat, I called Pods, mostly those two. And we finally, after getting quotes from both of them, we decided on Pods. And the thought was, we would get one 16-foot container. If it did not fit, it did not go. We changed that up a little bit. I have an adult daughter that moved with us, and she had got a U-Box from U-Haul, and kind of at the last minute, I says, okay, let's get a U-Box as well. So we ended up coming with one 16-foot pod and one U-Box. So as that all took place. The pod was delivered, and the way they work their scheduling, basically you rent it, you get it for 1 month. I mean, you can pay for more months, or you can pay to have it put into storage, but you get it for 1 month as part of the process. So we had it delivered out, and we had it for, I want to say, like maybe 10 days or so to load it up. I figured if usually I'm kind of a quick guy, let's just pack it in, let's go for it. But we had to move all of our stuff from storage, which was 35 minutes away, back to the house where we were renting so that we could put it into the pod. So I ended up taking my pickup truck, and I made a few trips, moving stuff down to the house and strategically loading the pod up. And then there were a few things that were just too big for the truck that we decided to rent a U-Haul for the day, and moved a bunch more stuff and got that all down to the house. And we were able to load up the pod and the U-Box, and we ended up saying goodbye to them, and they came and picked them up. And we waited, I'm not sure, about maybe a week. I can't remember now. But we waited a little bit of period of time because we had a set day that we were going to leave. And it was kind of working around a holiday and time off for my wife and all these different things that we were trying to process. Originally, we were going to try and get here in, I think, 4 days. And I spent tons of time going over Google Maps and point A to point B, trying to figure out how far we could go. With some of my conditions that I have I really did not feel like getting exhausted for the move. So we kind of had some ideas where we wanted to get to, but we really didn't plot it out. This is where we're going the first day, this is where we're going the second day. We just kind of went. We knew the first day we were trying to get from basically Sacramento to Barstow. Didn't want to do too much, and the day that we actually left, we still had a few things because we were still packing the cars in my truck, getting the dog ready, all these different things, which I thought would probably come together in about an hour and a half. We'd have that done. I think we started around 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't think we pulled out of the driveway till like 11. So it just took a lot more time. We ended up having more stuff than we thought. We ended up leaving a bunch of stuff still. So it was a very stressful day. But we did end up getting on the road and getting to Barstow the first night. That was the plan, and that's where we got to. And it wasn't too bad. I kind of get a little, I don't know, antsy when stuff like this happens because, you get a plan in your head and it doesn't go that way. So, like some people say, you have a plan, but you don't have a set plan. I mean, doesn't always go according to what you want. But we did make it down there the very first night. Our pod, I want to say it ended up costing, I think it was just a hair under, I think it was around $500 or $5,500 to get that moved. and then we ended up paying another $1,000, I think it was, for the U-Box. So if you are thinking of moving across the country, you really, really, really need to decide, is this something I have to take, or is this something I should just replace if I need it? We have several things that I wish we had brought. And there are some things that I wish that we had not brought. Because when something goes off into the truck, something has to come off of the truck, basically. I mean, that's how it's going to work. Unless you just have unlimited space and whatever. But I mean, we were trying to stick to a budget because we had things that we wanted to do once we got here. Now, in our case, we didn't bring any mattresses. We didn't bring a dining room table. We didn't bring any living room furniture per se. We brought some end tables. But the furniture that we had, I mean, it wasn't worth moving. So we figured, well, we'll get our furniture, and it should pretty much last us, hopefully, the rest of our life, or the majority of our life. And I'm glad we did. I'll go into that a little bit more about shopping here after we moved, but spoiler alert, everybody was wonderful. It was a really pleasant experience, and if you've gone furniture shopping, it can be a little trying. It's kind of like car shopping. But anyway, we got on the road and we got the journey started, and I think that's where we'll leave it for today. I will go back and talk about us purchasing this house. Probably do that next week, and how that all happened. Which again, it was a really good experience as well. For the most part, everybody that's participated in helping us move and getting us, as we got set up with various deliveries and things, I mean, it's been a wonderful experience. I mean, there are things that have happened here that just would never happen back in Cali. We've got some pretty good storms coming in this weekend, if they hold out to be true. One thing you'll learn about the weather here is they say stuff and it may or may not happen. So I'm trying to get some grass mowed down, because grass does grow here, and it grows really fast. I found that I can go mow the lawn, and the next day I feel like I need to go out and mow it again. I usually don't, but it grows fast here. So I hope you have a pleasant day and a good week. I plan on dropping another video on Thursday. So please, if you like the content, if you like the story, please subscribe, please like it, please comment. I'd like to start getting a little bit more into the comments. It's been quite a journey trying to get this whole thing started. Anyway, have a good day. We'll see you next time.